It's time for us to drive the enemy back.
Looks like South of Midnight is already cooked. 100, no, not 100%, 1000%. And the journalists and shills cannot save it. Similar with Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Of your morning cup of coffee. But alright, let's look at all the reviews of South of Midnight and see what is being said about this Sweet Baby Inc. game. And what's really amusing to me as a side note is that this was, in fact, a game that was worked on by Sweet Baby, but not many people are really talking about that. It's become kind of a background characteristic of the title, but the game is still selling like shit. It just goes to show that people naturally are not inclined to play the sort of slop that Sweet Baby consults on. People are completely repelled by that type of game. But anyhow, as I showed you before, the journalist shills are trying really hard to make sure people feel differently about a game that aligns with their worldview. They didn't rate it quite as high as something like Dragon Age the Veilguard or Assassin's Creed Shadows, giving it a 77 out of 100.
I think honestly, any of us can expect that coming. People would see that coming a mile away. I mean, how much you want to bet that the user score is lower? Either 4.1 or 3.9 or something? I mean, seriously, how many Sweet Baby Inc. games have flopped? We already know. We already lose count. I know the latest one is Assassin's Creed Shadows and Unknown 9 Awakening. Unknown 9 Awakening, guess what happens? Bandai Namco has to shut down studios. I don't think they shut down the person or the studio that worked on Unknown 9. I think they're still operated.
They were pretty positive in their words about it. Games Hub gave it a freaking 100 out of 100, which eliminates any last semblance of integrity or relevancy that they had. Imagine being ridiculous enough to say that this was a perfect game. But they wrote here, South of Midnight is an incredible experience and a rare fantasy adventure that grasps deeper themes wholeheartedly, telling a story that is cinematic, dynamic, beautiful, and heart-wrenching at every turn. What a wonderful world we live in, that games like South of Midnight exist. Yeah, this was written by someone who desperately wanted this game to be amazing. But what they fail to acknowledge is that it is barely a game. But the person who wrote this review for Steam here also wanted the game to be good, as they say in their very first sentence. Keep in mind, this is someone who clearly paid for early access to the title. They not only bought the game, but paid extra to play it early, and yet they still don't have good things to say about it. And this is the highest rated review on the game thus far by a long shot. It is absolutely dripping with authenticity, which is why this sort of review is so much more appealing than what we see in the media. Anyhow, this person wrote, I really want to like this game, but sadly I don't. South of Midnight looks like a playable Leica movie. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but anyhow, the art style is fantastic. More of this, please. I'm captivated by the world they created. I like the protagonist. I like the Southern Gothic vibes. I like looking at this world and being in it. Unfortunately, I don't really think it's all that fun to play. This is a linear, narrative-driven action platformer in the same vein as Psychonauts, Jak and Daxter, etc., but nothing to make it stand out mechanically. Nothing here is really all that unique, which might not matter if it executed its design and gameplay better. The platforming is just so rigid, and the environmental puzzles are just so uninteresting. They don't really feel like things I have to figure out, and there's no joy in executing some sort of complex maneuver you might find in other games. In other words, this sounds like it isn't a video game so much as a story.
It could be a story, because if you don't know what... Okay, there's a creator called Oh No, It's Alex. He is criticizing Sony, the direction they're going, because every game has to be cinematic, third-person, cover-based shooters with stealth elements in it, because they want to be the next Kojima. I think whatever happens here, many of these game developers, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get into Hollywood, because they don't even have the skills necessary to even get into Hollywood. So that's why they are in the video game industry. I know it's not relevant, but what are the chances are it was? I mean, seriously, look at the games that you saw, minus the East. Why is it like this? That comment over there, or that review on Steam, I think that's a pretty mix. Although Games Hub, ooh, no, 100%, yeah. I highly doubt it.
Is the gaming equivalent of Oscar bait. You know, those movies that studios put out that nobody watches and nobody has heard of because it's boring and uninteresting, but it still wins 14 Oscars because it pushes progressive shitlib propaganda while forgetting that it's supposed to be a movie. South of Midnight sounds like it's like that, but in gaming form. Anyhow, reading on. The puzzles are just things in the way you get through mindlessly. Move this box over here, make this platform appear, find the button prompt, find a painted ledge, get into a locked arena to fight off some enemies. It's all just so very bland and straightforward. Combat is the worst aspect of the game. Again, nothing unique, but that could have been forgiven if it were any fun. If you're going to get this game, I highly recommend knocking the game down to one of its easier difficulties. Otherwise, they're just damage sponges whose attacks you have to dodge and button mash your way to victory. The one unique thing about this game is doing a finishing move to take down an enemy permanently. All it is hitting a thing until its health goes down and hitting a button prompt. However, doing this results in an awkward world freeze moment where everything around literally stops moving until you're done. It interrupts any sort of flow in combat you might have had otherwise. It's probably to give you a bit of health and speed up the cooldowns of your abilities, but you're probably not going to be using them very much anyway. It doesn't take long to see the kind of strict routine South of Midnight has for you. Platforming, combat arena, platforming, combat arena, rinse, repeat, beat game. So, it's dull gameplay followed by annoying gameplay with some charming cutscenes here and there. Compulsion Games needs to seriously rethink how they design their gameplay. I don't know if they're afraid to experiment. I don't know if this is just a creative decision, but this marks their third title with the same exact frustrating problem of cool aesthetic but boring gameplay. Contrast suffered from this. We Happy Few suffered from this. Sadly, South of Midnight suffers from this. And yeah, this is exactly at the heart of what we are talking about when it comes to this style of protagonist in games. I don't actually care that Hazel is black or a girl or whatever. I have repeatedly made fun of the character for being ugly, but that isn't really a problem in and of itself. It simply means that the game is most likely going to suck. I can tell it won't be any fun because it wasn't made for me, and my pattern recognition has gotten to the point that whenever I see a character like this, I simply automatically assume it's going to be shit. Clearly, studios like this aren't making gameplay and fun their priority. These are people in search of accolades. They want to virtue signal, and they want the awards and praise that comes with it.
I think these people, when they saw that awards, their desire kicked in. That's the reason they're doing this kind of things. Instead of making good movies or good TV shows or even good video games, they do something like this. It's the real reason why either the Oscars or the Game Awards, nobody cares. I mean, what about you guys? When's the last time you even watched either the Oscar or the Game Award? Tell me in the comments, because I know some of you don't even watch it. You don't care. A mid-tier. Well, the review score's already in. 77. A bit lower than Dragon Age Veilguard and, what, Assassin's Creed Shadows? Yeah, I think Assassin's Creed Shadows just beats South of Midnight. No, or perhaps even better, AI Limit that comes, what, 2 weeks ago? I don't know if I could pick this up, but remember, like I said, my storage here is already full. I'm gonna save some space for Stellar Blade and Lost Soul Aside. It's gonna take a lot of space. I think once, hopefully I can finish both AI Limit, at least before either Stellar Blade or Lost Soul Aside came. We'll just have to wait and see. Let's be honest, folks. Journalists and shills will try everything they can to shills. The number will always flop. No matter what you say, it is not enough to sustain. Yes, people can say it's good or anything, but as a game developer, it's not enough to sustain, okay? That player number is not enough. And to top it all off, if you attack gamers, regardless whether they say on the internet, if you attack gamers, your potential customers, that is a surefire sign that your game will fail. So this is what people will call it the Sweet Baby Inc. Kiss of Death.
On the battlefield proved most impressive. With a little more training, you will be right up there with me in no time. If you are interested, would you like to learn a new skill? I am sure you could pick it up in no time, and it will surely prove useful in battle.
So, leave a like and subscribe if you want woke or anti-woke detected, or you just want to see me play games, or perhaps you like trending topics. You can visit my second, third, and fourth channel up here or link in the description.